Daddy caught a fish first cast out, son. Old skipjack. Check that out. Tennessee River skipjack. He hit it when it hit the water.
Good.
No. Whoop, there he is. Come here, come here. Reel, they fight hard. Reel him in. Reel him in and cut him off in the rocks. Back up, back up, back up, back. No. Look, that's really light line. Check it out. Yeah. Okay, so where we're at on these skipjack is basically, it looks like a horror movie scene cleaning these fish. Blood is everywhere. I'm having to wash my cutting board, my knife handle, and the counter, basically between every fish. But I'll explain to you what I'm doing. I'm cutting the head off, and then I'm inserting the knife up the lower end of the body cavity here until you get to the anal fin at the back, and then just cutting straight through the rib bones here at the bottom, and that will butterfly the fish open where you can scoop out the inside. Now what I want to show you here is this dark color. That is actually blood up against the spine that can be expressed out the end of the fish. What I do is, under the running water at the sink, is I just take my thumb, and as I press down on that, you will start to see the blood coming out the end, so that once it's done and rinsed, it'll look like this. So just keep doing that at the sink and getting all that out, and it will definitely improve the quality and flavor of the meat. What I'm doing next is cutting off the belly here, and basically just the cavity line that you can see right here, just cutting that loose back to the anal fin. And then to get the anal fin off, just taking a knife straight up the back side like that. Dorsal fin on the back here, you can do the same thing. Comes right off the back of the fish. Getting rid of the tail. About an 1.5 inch chunk is what I'm going to cut these into. And so that one we got about 6 chunks out of. Now I'm going to give these another rinse to try to get as much blood out of it as I can, but I've also got a brine going with about 3 quarts of water and a cup of salt. And then once the salt is dissolved, I will add ice to it to cool it off before I soak the fish in it overnight in the refrigerator. You can definitely tell that that color has evened out. It's not near as red. And I don't know if you can really see it, but that water definitely has a red-orange tint to it. So we want to rinse them really well. Try to get off any of that salt brine that's left. And I'm feeling a little bit of slime that are still on these. And you can cut that with vinegar. So I'm going to put them back in our mixing bowl with cold water and about 1/3 cup of vinegar, and just let them soak not long, maybe 15 minutes or so, and then we're going to re-drain them. And while those are soaking, we can get started washing off our pressure canner and our jars. got our jars sterilized here. I've got 4 ready. I'm not sure exactly how many it's going to take, but we just sterilized them in some simmering hot water. And to the bottom of each jar, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of Cannon salt. We're going to put that in before the fish. And then once we've got that added, we're going to start packing in our fillets. You want to use as much space as possible. That's what gets you the most room out of your jar. We're going to pack those down, and we want to leave about an inch of headspace. Headspace being the distance between the topmost part of what you're canning and the top of the jar itself. Now before we put the lids on, you do want to take a paper towel, make sure nothing is on the tops of these jars. That will keep it from sealing. Now we put these in the water bath to sterilize them, but what it also does is it kind of preps this seal along the bottom of the jars. It goes ahead and warms it up. These are just hand tight on top. So we got our canner put on the stove, and per the directions that came with it, you want to have 3 quarts of water in the bottom of the canner, and that's roughly 2 to 2.5 inches worth of water in the bottom. Next, we're going to add our jars in on top of that. I want to mention I did turn this on medium-low heat to start preheating our water, just so it wasn't going in cold. The maximum number of pint jars that can go in our canner is 10, and like I said, we've only got 6 jars, so we've got plenty of room in between them. So in this Presto canner, you may not be able to see it, but there's actually an arrow here, and you want to align that with the arrow on the handle. And then when you've done that, it should lock into place. So now that that's done and our canner is locked, I'm going to go ahead and turn our heat up to, now my particular stove has a power bowl setting, but I'm going to set it just below that. And what we're looking for is steam to come out the top and allow all the air to be replaced with steam inside. That way everything is heated evenly, and then we're going to put our regulator on top. Okay, so y'all may not be able to see the steam rising up, but you can see the little water droplets that are starting to bubble out. So we are officially getting a steam. I can feel the heat coming out of the top. We're going to set a timer for 10 minutes. So the canner that we have is a Presto 16 quart canner, and it comes with a weighted regulator rather than a dial gauge. So we're not going to be watching a gauge to maintain pressure in our canner. We're going to be watching the weighted regulator, and it's just supposed to do kind of a hula dance on top of the canner. You don't want it dancing too much and bumping around. That means you've got too much pressure, and you don't want it sitting still either. So with this weighted gauge, there are 2 removable rings and then 1 fixed ring. If you just have the fixed one on, that's 5 pounds of pressure. If you have 1 removable on as well, that's 10 pounds. If you have both rings attached to it, then you're at 15 pounds of pressure. And so to remove those rings, place it between 2 fingers and push, and both of those rings pop off. If you add 1 ring on, then you're maintaining 10 pounds, and for my elevation here in North Alabama, that's the one we want. You can see our steam going right here, and our pressure indicator has popped up, which means we are now under pressure inside. All right, so we have purged our canner for 10 minutes. I have got our regulator set to the 10 PSI rating, and we're just going to carefully put that on top, just like that. Now that that's on, we're just waiting for it to dance or wiggle on top of the canner, and that is when we'll start our official timer, which for pint jars and fish is 100 minutes of canning time. So 10 pounds of pressure for 100 minutes, and then we'll take it off the heat. And I'm also going to start backing the heat off a little bit. I'm going to start off around medium high, because I don't want to build up too much pressure that the regulator starts flopping around. So this is about what we want. This is a nice steady rock. Okay, so we've been under pressure for right at 40 minutes of our processing time, but I kind of want to show you where this thing kind of settled out at. And on my smooth glass top stove, it's right under medium heat on about the setting number 4. I'm actually doing some more editing at the table in the next room, and I'm basically just listening. I can hear that steady rock and steady hiss And that's kind of what I'm going by, and just keeping a check on it every few minutes. "100 minutes is up. We are going to turn the heat off of our eye, and then we're going to carefully lift the counter up and move it out of the way. All right, so pretty much immediately after we removed it from heat, the pressure regulator has stopped dancing around. It's perfectly still now. And so what we're watching for now is going to be the pressure indicator. When the indicator drops, that tells us that the pressure has been relieved. All right, it took about 20 minutes, but you can see that our indicator has dropped down. So now we're going to take off the regulator, just like that, and gently turn the lid. I can definitely smell a fishy odor. So I can smell a bit of an odor, and I can see what looks like the water looks a little discolored, like an oil. I mean, it's still clear, but you know how oil and water sometimes just kind of has a ripple to it. I don't see any visibly damaged jars. We're fixing to set them on the counter though, very carefully. Okay, so bubbles will continue to rise from all the air pockets within the jar as they cool down. And the whole purpose behind a canning lid is it's going to let that air escape. And it's going to form a vacuum tight seal on the can, which is usually indicated by that all familiar pop. And then it's recommended that they sit a full 12 hours before eating. Kind of a pungent aroma. There's lots of oil. Y'all remember, we didn't put anything in here. We put salt in the bottom, and y'all can just see the yellow oil that's just cooked out of this fish. And part of being oily is why skipjack is so valued as a catfish bait or a cut bait, because when you cut it up and throw it out, predator fish are attracted to that oil. It's not bad. It's just different than, it's so close to being like canned salmon when you warm it up. That smell and that aroma, but yet it's not. And so it makes you question if it's good or not. But I think it's just because I'm trying to make it something it's not supposed to be. It's not canned salmon. You gonna try it, bud? Okay. Good. It is really oily. I would definitely consider draining this off. A little bit bigger chunk. That was really salty. It's okay. It's like I said, it's almost like you're trying to make it something it's not, and so it's questionable, but it's not canned salmon. It's canned freshwater skipjack herring, and it's typically a bait fish.
Keep expecting a bone. It's not
no,
bad.
It's salt. I think drain it off. The piece I got had a lot of salt left on it. While skipjack may not be the model fish to go to for canning fish, I think it's safe to say we have tried it, and we can definitely add canned fish to our pantry. And it's a great way to put up and preserve an abundance of fish. When you're able to get out and catch a lot, it's a way that you can save them and eat them throughout the year. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've canned skipjack herring before or bait, leave a comment below. Let me know what you canned, what you did different. Is there something you would change in this recipe to make it taste better? And I think we're just gonna feed all these to Jenna. Is it good?
You want more?
We'll see you next time.